Hello, this is Tarregor. This video is a Twitch stream that was not edited, so it's going to look like a Twitch stream. Welcome to my vision of World of Warcraft Classic Plus. The design direction of my vision of Classic Plus is substantially different from that of retail WoW circa Shadowlands and the private servers Vanilla Plus and Turtle WoW. This is partially because it aims to fix Vanilla WoW's many problems first, flush out a polish what's already there second, and add new content third. This is part of a playlist of videos. Check this video's description for a link to the playlist. The document displayed is my vision of Classic Plus. The document's version number is 1.5.15. All versions of the document are based upon patch 1.12.2 of WoW. If you just want to know about the general design direction of my vision of Classic Plus, before you otherwise look into this, then watch the introduction video in this playlist or read the document yourself and look at the list of major features. The link to the document is on my channel's About page. That and I do not have a team of people or however working with me to make an actual private server out of this. This is all pure design this far, and it ain't done yet. Now, most of these changes are being made mostly to prevent the stacking of world buffs, which was extremely overpowered in raids and trivialized leveling when you got them, and to nerf them by even more because it would still make raids be far too much easier than they would be without them. Whenever a trigger is triggered, it causes a non-player character to do something under trigger the world buff, such as Overlord Runthak walking forwards before dropping a Nancy head, then the non-player characters being interrupted during said roleplay will not prevent the world buff from going out. This will be accomplished by having the Game Master Invisible and Game Master Invincible non-player character simply give out the buff at a set amount of time after the relevant roleplay event began. Should the buff not be on cooldown, when the invisible non-player character is scripted to cast the buff. Speaking of which, send invisible non-player characters that are associated with Alliance quests will only give said buffs to the Alliance, and send invincible NPCs that are associated with Horde quests will only give said buffs to the Horde. So the Alliance cannot get mind control by Horde players to get the War Chief's Blessing buff. I forgot to write that down. Furthermore, mind control members of the Alliance that are mind controlled by the Horde will be considered by said invisible NPCs to be members of the Alliance, and vice versa for Horde members that are mind controlled by the Alliance. Going to fix this in a changelog at the end of the video. After the video is over, remember to make NC'd Alliance members be Alliance members players MC'd by the Horde be counted as Alliance members by NPCs that give out faction-specific world buffs, and vice versa for Horde players MC'd by the Alliance players. You know, the Horde is going to include Horde NPCs, and the Alliance is going to include Alliance NPCs, just in case. So yeah, no War Chief's Blessing for the Alliance, etc. To Blast Alliance buffs items will no longer be unique, and they will stack up to 5 times per stack. These Zanza potions will require Exalted Disease and a large ride to obtain. Concerning the Scourge Invasion event, Blessed Wizard Royal and Consecrated Sharpening Stones will be replaced with these simple non-weapon buffs that are applied upon completing the relevant quests, which will be classified as Type A world buffs, see below. If you have to trace the Solicitous buff, but you're not Solicitous, then you'll receive an undispellable 1-minute debuff if you follow in the description. If you don't go back to Solicitous, you'll lose the Traces of Solicitous. Traces of Solicitous will no longer follow you into AQ20 or AQ40 if it wasn't already the case. Similarly, will be applied to the Loran's Blessing buff, which will no longer follow you into Naxxramas. The following buffs will not stack each other, only considered to be Type A world buffs. All these Type A world buffs will overwrite each other when they are applied, while another one of them are active. Rallying Cry the Dragon Slayer, Songflower Serenade, Spirit of Zandalar, all Sage's Fortunes, Moldar's Moxie, not Sage, sages. Yeah, Moldar's Moxie, Slip Kick Savvy, Fengus Ferocity, Blazing of Black Fathom, all non-portable holiday buffs, all Mangletooth buffs. The buffs that will replace Consecrated Sharpening Stone and Blessed Wizard Oil. All other buffs that are granted as a non-repeatable quest rewards, such as Ekayashi's Grace, Ishima Hall's Rage, and the Strength of Jisha Awok. Did I know these are all worth character level divided by 3 itemization points, where its character level equals expected character level. These buffs are considered to be Type B role buffs. They will not stack with each other, nor buffs that are defined in section number 11.0.14, general buffs / G buff changes to be Category B buffs. Warchief's Blessing, the Winter Spring Juju buffs, the Blasted Lands buffs, Ungoro Crystal buffs, all of the Zanza potions, Reader / regular Marks of the Dawn, and all portable holiday buffs. They do not specifically grant you a well-fed buff. Design note, these are all worth character level divided by 2 itemization points, whereas character level equals expected character level. If and/or was not the case before, all Type A world buffs will stack up all other buffs and vice versa. Other buffs meaning buffs that are not Type A world buffs. Type A world buffs will be changed so that the total benefits are as follows. Durations are unchanged unless otherwise specified. Rallying Cry to Dragon Slayer will grant plus 8 spell damage / healing, and 15 attack power, and 1 melee range crit, and 1 spell crit. Songflower Serenade will grant 9 to all stats. All stats means strength, agility, stamina, intelligence, and spirit only. Excuse me, intellect, not intelligence. Same for Spirit of Zandalar. Sage's Dark Fortune of Strength, Agility, Stamina, and Sword Spirit will grant plus 20 to its stat. Sage's Dark Fortune of Armor grants 200 armor. Sage's Dark Fortune of Resistance grants 9 resistance all. Sage's Dark Fortune of Damage grants 40 attack power and 20 spell damage. Mortal's Moxie grants 20 stam. Slip Kick Savvy grants 1 spell crit and 8 int. Fengus Ferocity grants 40 attack power. Razor Hide grants 18 armor and 2 Nature Thorns damage and lasts for 1 hour. Before it granted 25% armor, and I forget how much Thorns damage it was more. But yeah, it's not going to be ridiculously overpowered anymore. Though it used to only last for 10 minutes, so yeah. Now it just grants plus 18 armor period, so if you had 30 armor and you get Razor Hide, you'll have 48 armor instead of 30 plus 25% is... Yeah, anyway. Agamegon's Strength, Agamegon's Agility, Wisdom of Agamegon, and Righteous Fear will grant 7 Strength, Agility, and or Spear, respectively, and last for 1 hour. All gift collection buffs will grant plus 20 to their stat. Blessing of Black Fathom will grant 2 Spirit, 2 Int, and 7 Frost spell damage. This one I did not actually need to change. I only changed it for the sake of consistency. Blessing of Black Fathom. Smitten will give you plus 20 stamina. Fire Festival Fortitude will grant plus 20 stamina. Design note, make sure that Piddlefeet, or whatever his name is, actually despawns after the holiday is over. Fire Festival Fortitude will grant 20 stamina. Ribbon Dance will grant 20 fire resistance. Fire Festival Fury will grant 2% melee slash range haste, 7 attack power, and 1 spell haste, and 3 MP5. By the way, all these buffs are their total benefits, and these are not being added to their vanilla benefits. They are instead replacing their vanilla benefits. Similarly for all of these buffs, the Type B world buffs. Anyway, moving on. Celebrating Good Times will grant plus 9 to all stats. Invocation to Do Wickerman will grant 13 stamina and spirit. Elune's Blessing, 9 to all stats. Soul Revival will grant 40 attack power, 20 spell damage, and 44 healing. Blessed Azanza, the Zul'Gurub exclusive buff they can only get while in Zul'Gurub, and will wear off when you leave Zul'Gurub. That will grant 200 attack power, 100 stamina, 125 spell damage, and 222 healing. Debuff that replaces Consecrated Sharpening Stone will grant 56 attack power versus Undead and Demons. The buff that replaces Blessed Wizard Oil will grant 28 spell damage versus Undead and Demons. The below Type B world buffs will be changed as follows, granting only specified stats unless otherwise stated, and for the duration of 30 minutes if it was not longer vanilla. Warchief's Blessing, which counts as a Type B world buff by special exception, will grant 3% melee slash range haste, 10 attack power, 2 spell haste, and 2 MP5 in total. Juju Might will grant 60 attack power. Juju Power will grant 30 strength. Juju Flurry will rename to Juju Reflexes and grant you 30 agility for 30 minutes instead of 3% melee haste for 20 seconds, so it won't suck. It won't be dog shit. A new item called Juju Magic will increase spell damage slash shield by plus 30 and be obtained from Wildkin Eco. Quest text will be changed accordingly. Juju Guile will be obtained from Owl Eco instead of Wildkin Eco. Quest text will be changed accordingly. Owl Eco, if I recall correctly, is going to be a new item. Juju Ember will grant 30 fire resistance. Juju Chill will grant 30 frost resistance. Juju Toughness, a new item, will grant 300 armor. Juju Escape will be replaced with Juju Toughness. Quest text will be changed accordingly. Oh yeah, 300 armor. I just mentioned. I forgot somehow. I recorded a lot of videos in a row today. A lot of them. Starting to session number 4.0.1 World Agenda. Anyway, moving on. Crystal Force will grant you 30 spirit. Crystal Ward will grant you 300 armor. Crystal Spire will give you 12 Thorns damage and Snake damage. Do note that all Thorns damage is inherently irresistible. Except by invincibility effects. New item called Crystal, I haven't decided the name yet, will grant 30 name resistance. Ungoro Crystal buffs. Another new item called Crystal, I haven't decided the name yet, 30 Arcade resistance. Another one for 30 Shadow resistance, and there's going to be another one for 30 resistance stall. Dark Desire will grant 2 hit and 10 attack power. Design note, remember, the hit cap overflow mechanic makes it not suck if you're already hit capped. More on that in a different video. Basically, you'll get attack power if you're already hit cap against a specified mob, and the attack power is NPCs changes depending on which NPC you're attacking. However the hell. Hit cap. Somewhere. It's under game mechanics. Oh yes, hit chance to go to the recap cap for the NVIDIA you're finding will comes to 2.5 times character level divided by 60 attack power increase per 0.1 excess hit chance for any given attack against that enemy. This bonus attack power all is access if enemies who have under your character level times 5 defense skill have your character level times 5 defense skill. As such, players should not feel so bad about having what otherwise be too much change for PvP or solo content, which they'll likely have since they need much hit chance for rating. Design out, I would make it be crit instead, but dots cannot crit. It being its attack power. I would replace it with crit, but dots cannot crit. Very Berry Cream will grant 30 spell damage. Buttermilk Delight, 300 armor. Sweet Surprise, 12 MP5. By the way, there's also a spell hit overflow. There's also a spell hit cap overflow. You gain bonus spell damage if your spell hit gets too high. Anyway. Sweet Surprise, 12 MP5. Buttermilk Delight, 300 armor. Elderberry Pie, also 300 armor. Midsummer Sausage, 30 spell damage. Fire Toasted Bun, 2 hit and 10 attack power. Toasted Smork, 12 MP5. Sword Princess Zaza, 30 agility. So Spirit of Zaza, 20 stamina and spirit. Sheena Zaza no longer works versus level 61 and higher spells. Spell reflection chance after the first one lowered to 1%. Greater Market of Dawn, 30 stamina. Market of Dawn, 15 stamina. Lesser Market of Dawn, 5 stamina. And Mistletoe, 30 spirit. Only, of course. Once again, all these effects of these Type B world buffs are replacing their vanilla effects. On a related note, Wind Blossom Berries will count as well-fed food instead of a world buff as before. Why did I write that part? Wind Blossom Berries will count as well-fed food. As well-fed food instead of a world buff, and they'll grant 15 stamina for the duration. So yeah, Wind Blossom Berries will be well-fed food, grants you 15 stamina. And that's all I got for world buff changes. Next video will be Dark Moon Fair changes. Thanks for watching.